What's going on, guys? We just finished our 20 days of picking dividend stocks for our dividend portfolio. Right now, I have them on a watch list. For those of you that don't know, I had these polls going on in my community tab for the past 20 days, and we would vote on which dividend stocks in each sector do we want to pick. So there's a total of 10 sectors, and we picked 2 dividend stocks per sector in this. The rules were that I would pick the winner after 24 hours. So there were some after 24 hours that may have flipped. A good example was one of the more recent ones, Target. So Target ended up winning after 24 hours worth of votes. But then you could see now that we're 2 days in, Kroger did take the lead. I was going back and forth. Should we just take the absolute winner? But I thought, no, you know what? The rules were 24 hours, so we're going to stick with that. And here are the results. So you can see here are our 20 dividend stocks. I actually threw it into my portfolio watch list tracker, which there is a video on how to make this, so you can check that out if you'd like to know. But with that, you can see there was a decent amount of buys, couple of sells. It wasn't anything crazy to come up with this buy, hold, or sell signal. It was just kind of how close was it to its 52-week low. And we've been in a bear market for over a year now. So you can see most of these stocks are pretty close to their 52-week low. For example, this is Intel. You can see we are definitely close to the 52-week low. But then if we look at something like Pepsi, Pepsi has performed pretty well over the past 12 months. So it's close to its 52-week high. It may make new highs soon. So not necessarily the best buying opportunity, but we're not here to time the market. We're just going to buy everything all at the same time. We're going to put a $5,000 into each stock and let it ride and see if we can beat the index. So we're just going to, in this video, go through really quick of the winners just to see what they look like and what their dividend is. That's the most important part. And then the next video will be me actually putting it into the portfolio tracker, and then we'll track its performance over the next year or so. So I actually put a link in to stockanalysis.com to each ticker. So we're just going to jump through them really quick. The first one is Intel Corporation. This stock, again, if we look over the past year, it has really taken a beating. And if we jump over to the dividends, the dividend yield here is 4.54%. So that is pretty good. For some reason, it's coming up at 1.56 if you look on the FinFiz data. I'm not too sure, but that really doesn't matter. Regardless, it's a nice dividend either way that you look at it, and it is a pretty stable company. It's been around forever. So that is Intel Corporation. Next on the list is we got ABBV. Over the past year, it's performed pretty well. It's actually up 3% in the past year. Year to date, it's just breaking even. And then if we jump over to the dividend, a nice 3.5% yield, so that's pretty good. Its payout ratio is a little high, but that's not too concerning. Then we're going to take a look at JP Morgan. We all know this company, and over the past year, it's done pretty well. The year to date, it is down a little bit, but that's because of the banking crisis. But this is holding up a lot better than your typical regional banks. And it has a strong 3% dividend with a super small payout ratio. So this is definitely going to be a very stable dividend stock. Next on the list, we have 3M. This is where you get your command strips. They come from this company. For those of you that don't know, year to date, it is down 12%. And then over the past year, it's actually down closer to 30%. So definitely a beaten up stock. But because of that, its dividend yield is super high. We're looking at a yield of almost 6%, a little more than 5.5%. And its payout ratio is pretty healthy. And dividend growth is small, but with a dividend yield like this, really doesn't matter. So it should be interesting to see how this one plays out throughout the year. Hopefully, the payouts keep coming. Then we're going to jump over to Best Buy is our next. Year to date, let's see, we're down 10%, and over the past year, down 23%. So also kind of beaten up. But that also means we have a nice high dividend yield of 4.86%. Its payout ratio is looking pretty healthy. Its dividend growth, that's definitely not sustainable, but we're going to see what's going to happen this year. Then next, we have a fan favorite, Realty Income Corp. This is a REIT, not a typical stock, but it's only down 3.65% year to date, and the past year it is down 15%. What's unique about this is it has monthly dividend payouts, and its yield is very strong at 4.86%. Don't worry about the payout ratio because REITs are calculated differently. I do have a video on that, so if you're confused about that, definitely check that video out. Next is Chevron Corporation. This is Warren Buffett has a huge stake in Chevron. Its dividend is a modest 3.3%. Payout ratio is looking very healthy. Year to date, we're down 3%. Over the past year, we are breaking even. Next on the list, we have Southern Copper Corporation. Let's take a look at year to date. We're up 32%, which is insane. Over the past year, we're up 8%. So not necessarily the greatest buy-in, but its dividend yield is 4.35%. Its payout ratio is pretty high. I don't know why, maybe because of the sector it's in. I don't know if that is a red flag or not, but you can see its dividend growth is actually in the negatives. So it has gone down over the past year, but we're going to see what ends up happening. Next, we have Pepsi. So Pepsi is a pretty strong company. I think we all know what Pepsi is. It's up 2% for the year and year to date. And then over the past year, it's up 6%. So it's fared much better than the average stock has done. The dividend yield isn't too crazy. It's only 2.5%, and its payout ratio is pretty average. But again, pretty sound company, and it has a lot of revenues coming in from different products and brands, and you name it. Next, we have NextEra Energy. So let's take a look. Year to date, we are down 6%, and then over the past year, also down around 6%. Small dividend yield, 2.2%. Payout ratio is a little high, but it does have a nice dividend growth, so there is a little bit of room there. Then we have Cisco Systems. This was the NVIDIA in the past, but now it's more of a modest stock. It is up 6% year to date, and over the past year, it is only down 2.5%. If we take a look at its dividend, an average 3% dividend with a nice payout ratio and a tiny dividend growth. Nothing wrong there. Then next we have Amgen, if I'm saying that right. Year to date, let's see, we are down 3%, and over the past year, we are only down 1%, so that's not too bad. Its dividend is 3% with its payout ratio 63%. Dividend growth is looking pretty good. Then next, for those of you that can't buy a house like myself, it is because of this company, Blackstone. So if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. Year to date, they are up almost 10% over the past year. They're down 27%. Its dividend is a whopping 5%. Its payout ratio is super high. But again, this deals a lot in real estate. So I'd say you'd want to look at this the same way that you look at REITs. I don't know if it's necessarily considered a REIT, but that is something just to kind of be conscious of. Then we got Lockheed Martin, very stable company. Over the past year, it's up 4%. Year to date, it is up 1%. Its dividend is small. Its payout ratio is also small, but it does have a nice dividend growth. So there is room for growth there. Everyone's favorite coffee company, we have Starbucks. Year to date, we are up 6%. Over the past year, 32%, and its dividend is pretty small, 1.9%. Its payout ratio is pretty high, so there's not too much room to grow here. This is at a sell just because it's so close to its all-time high, but we'll see what happens over the next year. Then we have AMT. Let's take a look here. Year to date, it's down 1%. And over the past year, it's down 18%, so a little beaten up. Payout ratio is very high. I don't know if that's normal for this sector. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. definitely something to look into. Dividend yield is nothing too crazy, but it does have nice dividend growth. But again, I'd be really curious to look more into that payout ratio. So I'll update you guys on that. Then we have Sunoco. So Sunoco year to date, we are up 5%. Over the past year, up almost 6%. Dividend yield, super strong dividend yield of over 7%. Payout ratio is almost 70%. And then its dividend growth is NA for some reason. It'll be real interesting to see how this one plays out and to see if it can continue with its dividend yield. So it's going to be fun to see if we could actually get 7.28%. We're almost done here, guys. Next on the list is Newmont Corporation. So year to date, we're up 5%. And then over the past year, we are down almost 40%. So this stock is super beaten up. Nice dividend yield of 4%. Payout ratio is negative 407%. So that is definitely something to look at and report back to you guys. And then its dividend growth is negative 6%. Weird stock that we have here. Again, I will dig more into this and answer those questions that I definitely have. Target, a fan favorite, one of my favorite dividend stocks. We all know and love Target. We seem to go into the store only wanting to spend $20, but somehow spend over $250 each time. Year to date, it is up 8%, and over the past year, it is down 30%. Has taken a pretty nice beating. Dividend yield is nothing crazy, and its payout ratio is a little high. Dividend growth, I don't know if it could be that sustainable, but over the past several years, Target has just been such a strong performer. So eventually this kind of stuff needs to catch up with it. You could see that it had a massive run up until 2021, the peak, and then it has taken a beating, coming down to reality now. Where is it? Let's jump over to here. Let's take a look at Target. You see its PE is still pretty high. It's 27 for the PE. So it's a little high still. Might have room to come down, but we'll see what happens. And then we got Dominion Energy. Let's see what we got here. Year to date, it's down almost 5%. Over the past year, beaten up, down 33%. And for dividend yield, that is pretty strong. And here is another payout ratio that we need to look into. And why is it so high? Again, this may just be how this sector is, and that is normal. But again, that is for me to dig into and then report back to you guys. But those are our 20 stocks. Again, we're going to split it evenly, $5,000 in each stock, and then let it go. If we just kind of highlight all of these in the dividend yield, and then if we go down here to the average, we have about a 3.7% dividend yield. That is a nice, strong dividend yield, and it's actually higher than that because, again, for some reason, Intel is showing 1.56 on FinViz, but as we saw on stock analysis, it is higher. It is more like 4.5%. So our overall dividend yield is pretty close to 4%, which to me, that's really nice. That's kind of what I wanted it to be. So it's nice to know that we could come up with 20 different stocks, have a 4% dividend yield. And again, it's going to be fun to see what happens over this next year and how well we perform with the 20 stocks that we all voted on. I actually didn't vote on a single stock. I left it all up to my subscribers. So we're going to see how we're going to do. So guys, make sure to subscribe and smash that like button and tune in to future videos as we see our portfolio grow. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.